It's time for a moral lesson from a comic book. Yes, from a comic book. Because comic books can impart a lot of simple lessons. They can teach us to do what's right, to do what's necessary, but to know your responsibilities, and to never give up, that every problem has a solution, and that some of the coolest shit will never be mainstream. Ah, but those are all superheroes, and this is not the age of superheroes. This is a time when everyone is in love with the villain. There's not much to learn from the Joker, though. People really only adopted him as a symbol because the movie seemed to scare the hell out of all the right people. And myself, I haven't seen the movie. People tell me I should. But at this point, I won't hand my money over even to the big comic book companies. I'm sure as hell not going to watch one of their movies.
Despite the Academy Award.
That means fuck all.
So, instead of the Clown Prince of Crime, I'm going to tell you about a very obscure villain. The Foolkiller. And odds are you've never even heard of this character. There was a 10-issue Foolkiller series back in the early 90s. He was not the first Foolkiller. The first Foolkiller appeared in the 70s, dressed in a crazy swashbuckler outfit. He invented an energy pistol that he called the purification gun, and he used it to disintegrate people that he considered to be fools. Then there was the second Foolkiller, who followed in his footsteps, using the same zap gun. They were lunatics. And so was the third Foolkiller, the central character of this 90s miniseries. He started off wearing the same swashbuckler outfit that his predecessors did, but he ended up changing the look. He kept the weapon, though, and he also used it to kill fools. At first, he used the purification gun to slaughter muggers and rapists. So he might seem more like a vigilante anti-hero, like the Punisher. He didn't just kill criminals, though. As the series went on, the Foolkiller became crazier and crazier, to the point that he would start to disintegrate protesters, talk show hosts, and college professors. Now, while some of that may seem a bit entertaining, the Foolkiller was murdering people for expressing their opinions, and that puts him pretty squarely in the villain category. Is there anything at all that a swaggering zap-gun-toting supervillain can teach us? Actually, there is. And here's the scene. This was the moment that he determined what a fool really is. In his civilian identity, the Foolkiller had his attention brought to a misspelled sign. Someone had misspelled what he does for a living and had never bothered to correct it. Looking up the word, repainting, even bothering to notice, would have required effort. Thinking demands effort. Principle presupposes thinking. Conscience presupposes principle. Restraint presupposes conscience. Ordinary civility presupposes restraint. Recognition of a common good presupposes at least a minimal level of civility. Without belief in a common good, the link between actions and all but their most immediate personal consequences is severed. Devalue effort, and it all collapses. Now notice that last phrase and how important it is, because it is true. You don't have to eliminate effort to do damage. You just have to devalue it. And we do not live in an age of effort. We live in the age of entitlement. We live in a time when people expect to have rewards and advantages handed to them. Not only do they expect that, they demand it. Entitlement is nothing new. There have always been those who are unwilling to take the risks and expend the effort to earn what they want. The major difference now is that the forces of entitlement have become organized. Socialism is becoming more popular. Not because of any oppressive regime this time, though. Now it's just because people should be given what they need. Borders should be open. No nation should have to improve. They should just send their people to other nations. Some people have more than others. That's why we will take money from the millionaires and billionaires. Check that. From the billionaires. And give it to everyone else. Every American citizen should receive free money from the government on a monthly basis. We'll call that the freedom dividend. People should have free college and free health care. Never mind the practicality of that. Let's just make it happen. Advantages should be given to certain kinds of people. And when you say it like that, it might not sound so good, so we'll invert that. Instead of saying that we're giving advantages, we'll say that we're overcoming privilege. And the methods might be arbitrary, but if you don't expend the effort to think about it, it might seem like it's justice. I look at all of it, and I see a movement dedicated to the resistance of effort. It's a strange paradox, but the people fighting for it, they are willing to put forth the effort to diminish and devalue effort. But they're avoiding that second step, thinking. They are already so convinced of their own moral superiority that they just don't think about the results of their movements. They don't even consider the methods and resources for them. They just follow their first notion without thinking. The world is full of fools. And I certainly do not advocate for the disintegration of fools. But I certainly hope that everyone who does think, and who does not fear effort, continues to resist the fools.